Super Network CFR Sports. Good day, good night, all. Trustfully, everybody is getting all prepared and ready for another packed combat weekend. Two events from one, and then Saturday we have the UFC 280. The Asylum there, one of them places there. Hasn't necessarily, in my opinion, I mean, maybe I'm out of the loop a bit, but there hasn't been as much. I don't know what the UFC are doing. The last few weeks have been pretty lackluster in regards to events, but they've definitely went kind of all out on this card. But the promotion of said card, I don't think has been the greatest. Countdown, I think, was very main event heavy and didn't necessarily look at the the bantamweight champion and the contender, the former champ who relinquished his belt due to EPO. And obviously, Piotr Jan and Mr. O'Malley on paper, everything looks real good. Everything looks real nice. I don't think there should be much boring fights on this one at all. Can be mistaken. Anything can happen within MMA. Charles de Bronx. Remember the name, Charles Oliveira, the People's Champ. He's now got the new moniker as the People's Champ. My only criticism that he should be learning some English, man. Come on, my guy. Like he's definitely getting a nice little push, and people are have more endeared to him, especially over the crazy weight. So why on Earth or even in Earth was he even stripped? The UFC could have just said, "Look, this is obviously this is a non-title fight," and it was, and I don't know why they stripped it. Stripped the champion of the belt. I don't think that ever took place. But anyway, he's still the champ without the crown, without the belts. Most submissions in the whole of the UFC has been going on a tear. Matured most definitely. I mean, we could see this from the Tony fight, from even the Kevin Lee fight. Very durable. These hands have come along tremendously. He's coming up against Habib's little protege, Islam Makhachev. Now, he looks cool, got one defeat on his record, one loss on his record. Hasn't necessarily faced that same level of competition as Charles Oliveira. Now, listening to the old Josh and Big John on Weighing In podcast slash YouTube channel, as we know, uh, Mr. McCarthy being the wiser one, always seems to come across with the more at times of a balanced view, whereas Josh is very biased. And we know this. Anyone that comes out of that gym, he's on it. He's always been talking about this Islam guy. And it was an interesting little like discourse that they both had. And the thing that really jumped out to me was Josh saying that Islam is the more dangerous submission threat over Charles Oliveira, who has the most submission victories in the UFC. That makes no sense. Come on. Where's the logic in that? It doesn't matter how good he is in the gym and stuff. If he if he's had X amount of fights and the result of victory was submission, and it was, let's say, half that of Charles Oliveira, then we could, we could potentially say, look, he hasn't had that many fights in the UFC, so we could, he's at least had 6 of them, or he's had 7 submission. No, 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 come on, it's crazy talk. Next is going to be a very interesting fight, the main event itself. I'm going with the Bronx, going with the Bronx. From nothing to something, people's champ. Learn to speak English, sir, and nothing you'll really propel yourself to higher stratospheres. But this is going to be a good one. This is going to be this is going to be a very tough challenge for Islam. Now, as I always say, this is MMA and anything can happen. So let's see how it plays out. Number 1, taking on number 4. The champ is here. Dun, 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 dun. The champ is here. Aljamain Sterling, undisputed, reigning, defending bantamweight champion of the world, taking on TJ Dillashaw, aka Needleshaw. Unfortunately, tainted his whole fighting career. I'm giving him the opportunity, but there's still going to be people, and there's still going to be a doubt in everybody's minds, even though they said they went back and tested all of these previous samples, all this kind of stuff. People are going to be thinking, well, was he doing it from before? He's really messed up his legacy, and he is a good fighter. Difference being, if let's just weigh it up, strength of schedule. Aljamain Sterling has been doing his thing. He's been fighting very frequently, at least twice a year. TJ has come off a 2-year suspension, had another layoff after the victory with Mr. Sandman, Corey. Mashed up his knee and all kind of stuff. So he hasn't necessarily been as active, like, in real time. He's obviously been putting in the work and all that, but I think that's going to be the difference. Also, the difference maker in this bout, outside of the strength of schedule that Aljo has, and we know his game plan, and he's more than willing to throw hands, is the power that TJ has. I think based upon going by the records and stuff, TJ definitely has more power. That's going to be the way I see TJ. If he can sneak this out, and if he does, then we run it back again for a rematch. Unless it was like, and even if he just gets starched potentially in the first round, which I really don't see happening. You run it back, Mr. Dana White. We run it back, the UFC. We run it back, the whole of the MMA community. Yeah, it's people talking about, oh, well, if this one, yeah, forget all the MMA maths and all that silly stuff. If Aljo loses, he's the champion. He's the reigning defending champion who's not getting as much push and respect. But we know the dilly. We know why. Hint to the wise is more than sufficient in that respect. But there is a credible threat with Mr. TJ. I do see Aljo pulling it out the bag, though. I do see him being very active, conserving his energy, and well, not even, but yeah, overwhelming TJ. I see an overwhelming, maybe another decision victory, but we could see a submission. We could most definitely see a submission with this, and then staying in the bantamweights, Piotr Young, number 1 contender, taking on number 11. Piotr Young, very good fighter, slow starter. It's only a 3-round fight. Don't expect him to come out slow at all. Sean, very long. Uh, low calf kicks are gonna be his Achilles heel, quote unquote. Not much in the way of loss stock-wise, if Sean loses this, if he gets literally obliterated in the first round, and it's like, what on earth? We can see why this is 11 taking on number one. Maybe in that respect, he would lose. Uh, and it could happen. This is MMA. Piotr, on the other hand, he's got a whole load to lose. A whole load to lose. And from what Sean was saying now, this is all talk. We don't know if it's true or not. But he's saying that there was no one else for him to fight ultimately. That's why he was like, yeah, we'll fight. Let's do it. I wanted to step up in competition and maybe even a renegotiation of contracts. Get some more of that UFC money and stuff, you know. But this is an interesting one. If you can use his length, keep the reach, strike with him because he's not looking to, wrestling or nothing like that. You know, he could potentially do his thing. I'm not too sure if Piotr has actually been knocked out or anything, but there's a first for everything. This is a very tough and Sean O'Malley's toughest challenge to date. Who am I going with? I'm gonna go with the little short guy. Even though I do like strikers, and all this odd stuff, I don't understand the three minus 305. That must mean he's a favorite. Mm, I don't know. The New York Rick, I think it was whoever the gambling guy is on with the Ariel. They tried to explain it because one of them had been over to the UK and was saying the way we have our odds is a lot more simplistic and straightforward, which it clearly is because this 305 or minus and the plus 255, you'd think the plus 255 would be the favorite, I think, but I don't think it works like that. Comments below. Maybe someone can actually just write that out and explain how you arrive at these crazy odds. Benil Dariush, number 6, taking on Matisse Gamrot, who I didn't necessarily think he won his last fight. It was very entertaining back and forth. Quick turnaround, quickish kind of turnaround because there was a lot of blows being thrown, grappling, leg kicks, etc. But this guy's good. This guy's real good. 9 taking on 6. Dariush, Benil. I'm putting these two names together. Benil Dariush. He's good as well, man. Grappling, submission threat. Good, nice with his hands. Um, doesn't do all the smack talking, quote unquote. Very under the radar kind of thing. Very skilled. Uh yeah, this is gonna be a very interesting fight. Very interesting. I'm not too sure how this is gonna play out. Will the old guard maintain his 6, or will Gamrot come in and do his thizzle? Caitlin, I'm sure this is it? I don't know. Prelims, Bilal Muhammad, Sean Brady, Billy Guy, loads of tats. Very good fighter as well. Bilal Muhammad's been training with Habib and Niam, so he's going to get some extra tips and all that with this Dagestani Russian style of wrestling and the sambo mixed in. I think these both are very evenly matched. I think Sean may have a little bit more power, possibly, striking wise. So I'm not too sure how this one. That's again another interesting one. Another interesting bout. Uh, Meredith and Borjalho. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Apologies, butchering people's names. Middleweight bout. That's going to be nice. Volkov, Volkan Ozdemir. No time. No time. 8 taking on number 10, Nikita Krylov. That should be interesting. A lot of power is going to be on display there. What else? What else? Let's go to gods. The local you, Mohammed Makhachev taking on Malcolm Gordon from Canada. He looks familiar. I can't remember much of his fights, or if I've seen any of his fights, but he does look familiar. Not too sure of his style, but the local from the UK, I think he's he's got some confidence. He's skilled. He's young. I think he's gonna get it done, man. I think he's most definitely gonna get it done. And yeah, that's the UFC cards. I missed a few because yeah, no. But what do you think? What on earth do you think is gonna go down? Is anyone gonna bet on this? Once Aljo does his thing and retains his belt, are people gonna give him the respect? Because TJ, he's good, man. He's good. He's just missed out on 2 years, and there's still questions potentially people are always gonna be throwing at him. But he's handled it well. He's handled it well. Put his head down, and actions speak louder than the words ultimately. And unfortunately, the majority of the greats combat sports folk have unfortunately taken and partook and messed around with performance enhancing substances. They've had bans and all kind of stuff. So a lot of these guys do it, man. I prefer clean fighters. I think everyone would. I think maybe they should just have two separate leagues. The roided league, where you do what you're doing and everyone signs up and is fine with it, and then the naturals, as most promotions are trying to do, hence drug testing. It is a madness, but it's going to be a fun weekend.